The Australian consumer watchdog will launch an investigation into supermarket prices over 12 months. This new investigation was announced by the Prime Minister and comes on top of a federal Senate inquiry and code of conduct review that's already underway. The ACCC will have compulsory information gathering powers on all major players in the sector, such as Aldi, Coles and Woolworths. Its investigation will include the relationship between wholesale farm gate and retail prices, barriers to greater competition in the sector, the challenges for other companies to get into the market, and how online shopping, loyalty programs and technology have impacted competition. The ACCC can't do anything to change prices, but it can take supermarkets to court if they're found to be breaking competition and consumer laws. It can also pressure the big supermarkets into an agreement, similar to a 2008 inquiry, which saw Coles and Woolies phase out restrictive provisions in supermarket leases. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now by National Farmers Federation President David Jochinke. David, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're pretty happy to see this inquiry announced, but you'd like to see it go a little further than just the major supermarkets?
Absolutely. Getting the ACCC involved is a lot more, has a lot more integrity, a lot more teeth than just having a Senate inquiry that can look at bits and pieces of the supply chain, whereas the ACCC will look at the relationship between the supermarkets and the suppliers and the retailers, but we needed to go further. Farmers are frustrated by seeing the price we get at the farm gate and the price we see at the checkout, and there's a huge discrepancy there, and we want to understand as much as anybody, why is this occurring?
You were talking there just about the difference in prices between what farmers receive for their product and what we're paying at the checkout. Can you give us an example of what that price difference looks like?
Well, there's two probably examples. The more historical one is the $1 a litre milk, where we saw farmers not getting paid the fair amount for what they were producing and then seeing their product being discounted at the supermarket checkout. But that price range between $1 and up to almost $3.50. And recently we've seen that also in the red meat sector, where both lamb and beef fell almost by 47% in lamb's case and over 60% in beef's case, and not seeing a drop in the supermarkets until we had this discussion around what is going on within the supply chain. But we don't believe it's just the supermarket and supplier relationship. We believe along the whole supply chain, we need to investigate and get better efficiencies across the board.
What sort of an impact do those price discrepancies have on farmers?
Well, for starters, it's about getting true value for what we produce. As people who work on the land, who have the vagaries of the weather and have huge cost pressures like many businesses across Australia, we want to make sure we're getting fair value for what we produce. So when we see a high price at the checkout, we're not getting a comparable uplift or a steady price at the farm gate. We're naturally going to ask the question why. We're going to get frustrated by that as well. But vice versa. If that's the price that farmers are getting paid, consumers should also be getting a lower price so that they're not paying at higher prices that don't correlate or have any relationship to the farm gate price.
So the ACCC can't change the prices of fruit and veg and other products at the supermarket. So what do you hope this inquiry will achieve?
Well, first of all, transparency is one thing that agriculture really needs. As a farmer, we want to make sure that we're picking the most effective supply chain to get our product from our farm gate to the retail shelves. And as producers, that's a business decision, and we want to be able to see what's going on behind that. And hopefully, as a part of that, if there's any issues around contracts that are unfair, that favour one party over the farmers, we can have a discussion around improving those and tightening up those loopholes. But more so, this is about the whole supply chain. This is a discussion that's been boiling away for over a decade to reach this point. We have issues with our transportation, how we move product from our farms on the roads to the either manufacturers or distributors of our food. We have issues with connectivity that's really dragging us back from the full potential of how we can become more efficient. And even more so to that, it's about trying to get really good labelling, so when the consumer's at the supermarket making that informed decision about whatever production system they want, they can understand that when they're buying Australian, They're choosing a certain product from a certain region that has many different characteristics around it, and they're buying that integrity of that product that we as farmers are very proud of and should be rewarded of. So that transparency, making sure we're getting better understanding and better utilisation of contracts, but then also that whole supply system. How can we make sure we're getting food efficiently from our farms, growing it efficiently as well, and making sure that consumers also benefit from that in the longer term? And that's the other part. This isn't a silver bullet fix. There's not one thing that's going to change the price of food in a supermarket or whatever your retailer is. It's actually a huge picture here that we've got to make sure we get right now for the next generation.
David Jochinke, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.